Hey, everybody, you're listening to Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me. If you enjoy these story-only versions of Sleep With Me, please use the contact form on our website to let me know. You get a lot of value out of this. And if you're looking for more sleep stuff, you know, Sleep With Me now comes out 3 times a week, 2 new episodes, 1 classic episode. Then we have 2 episodes of Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me every week. So you could listen to Sleep With Me 5 nights a week if you need to. Now, if you're looking for ad-free episodes, more story-only episodes, going back into the archives, bonus episodes, all intro episodes, Fearless Flyer episodes, on location episodes, all intro episodes, all night episodes, check out Sleep With Me Plus. Not only do you get all of that stuff, and it's all organized and easy to access in different podcasts, you get to support this podcast so that we can be here and keep trying out new stuff to help you sleep and a bunch of other people, and you can do all that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks. Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster. It's time for the podcaster that finally broke out his winter pajamas, which just means sweatpants or other pants, lounge pants. Yeah, there's a big news, breaking news when I'm recording this. When you're hearing this, it'll be Scoots, that's old news to us. And I'd say, you know what news is good news? Comforting news, because these pants are comfortable. They've been worn in quite a few years. They were pre-2020 daytime sweatpants for a bit because they were called athletic pants or a travel pant. It was actually singular. They singulared it to make it more appealing to wear during the day. Travel pant, the travel pant. But now they're pajama pants, which is still baffled, I guess, because there's 2 legs. But they don't call it a travel shirts, because that would be confused. If you're confused, you're in the right place. It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to take your mind off stuff and put you to sleep, to keep you company in the deep, dark night. Because you deserve a place you can get some rest, some place that's going to take your mind off stuff, keep you company, or put you to sleep. Give this show a few tries. It doesn't even work for everybody. I'll tell you that right up front, but see how it goes. Most people it works for, they say, it took 2 or 3 tries to get used to because it never made any sense at all, just like you've seen so far. But I really want to help. There's a lot of people listening that know how it feels in the deep, dark night. And I've been there, tossing, turning, mind racing. So that's why I want to help too. So kick back, see how it goes, give it a few tries. It is a bit different. We'll start off with some support. Then there'll be a long, meandering intro and then a bedtime story because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. All right, hey, everybody, it's Scoots here. I guess we're talking about Bartlett's familiar quotations, at least to start. I looked this up on Wikipedia. It's often simply called Bartlett's. It's Bartlett''S. And it was written by a Bartlett, John Bartlett. It's an American reference work, longest lived and most widely distributed collection of quotations. First issued in 1855. This is all from Wikipedia, and currently in its 18th edition in 2012. It arranges entries by author rather than subject, as many other quotation collections. Enters authors chronologically by date of birth rather than alphabetically. Within years, authors are arranged alphabetically, and quotations are arranged chronologically within each author's entry, followed by attributed remarks whose source in the author's writings have not been confirmed. And it contains a thorough keyword index and details the source of each quotation, history. Oh, wow, it gets more interesting. John Bartlett ran the University Bookstore in Cambridge, Mass., and was frequently asked for information on quotations, so he began a commonplace book of them for reference. We'll look up what commonplace book is in a minute. Bartlett is generally supposed to have drawn the quotations in his book from his own extensive reading and prodigious memory in that commonplace book. But he acknowledged in the 1855 preface that has been enlarged by additions from an English work on a similar plane. And that work was named in some reviews of the time as a handbook of familiar quotations by English authors. Isabella Rushton Preston. And that was in 1853. It was privately printed in 1855 as a collection of familiar quotations. The first edition was 258 pages, 169 authors, but mostly it was from the Bible, Shakespeare, and great English poets, quoting Wikipedia there. The fourth edition said that it's not easy to determine in all cases the degree of familiarity that belong to the phrases and sentences which present themselves for admission from what is familiar to one class of readers might be new to another. And again, I guess this is limited in scope, to this person's purview, Let's see. The book had great success. There's 3 more editions. Then it joined the Boston publishing firm of Little Brown and Company. Bartlett rose to become senior partner of the firm. Let's look up Little Brown and Company. Still the publisher. Supervised 9 editions of work before moving on to the big publishing house in the sky. Even by 1905, it had sold over 300,000 copies. 7th edition in 1875, 8th in 1882, 9th in 1891. Then it'll be 20 years before the 10th edition, which was edited by Nathan Haskell Doyle. 10th edition, also known as the Author's Edition, was much like its predecessors. It began with quotations originally in English and then arranged them chronologically. Chaucer was the first entry, Mary Frances Butts the last. The quotes were chiefly from literary sources, and then a miscellaneous section of quotations in English from politicians and scientists. Then a selection of translations, which is in quotes, mostly of lines from ancient Greeks and Romans. So again, pretty limited to this Western viewpoint. Last section was devoted to the Bible and the Book of Common Prayer. The 11th edition was edited by Christopher Morley and Luella D. Everett. Expanded the page size, created a 2-column format, making the first edition that is recognizable to users of the modern work. And they also did a 12th edition in 1948, then 13th edition, 1955, the Centennial Edition. This work was credited to the editors of Little Brown. Preference gives special thanks to Morley and Everett, as well as Emily Morrison Beck. This had more recent material, 2 youngest authors, Bill Maudlin and Queen Elizabeth II. Beck also edited the 14th edition and the 15th. Let's see. Then Justin Kaplan, whose Life of Mark Twain, whose book Mr. Clemens and Mark Twain had won the 1967 Pulitzer. Kaplan brought out the 16th edition in 93. Let's see. Then in the 17th edition, 2003, they included pop culture people, including Larry David. Some classics were cut. Alexander Pope was dropped. Then the 18th edition came out in 2012. It was edited by poet, critic, and editor Geoffrey O'Brien, the editor-in-chief of the Library of America. Oh, there's also the Yale Book of Quotations and the Oxford Dictionary of Quotations. Just looking, there's not a ton of, let's see, we got an online the copy of the 10th edition or a copy of the 12th edition or the 14th edition. Let's take a look at the 10th edition real quick. It's like searchable. So I don't know if I can do that. Chronological index of authors. Let me just click on this here. Just randomly pick somebody. Ralph Venning. All the beauty in the world's but skin deep. Wow, that was from Ralph Venning. Let's try one more here. Yeah, sound like people I haven't heard of here. A lot of dudes here, huh? Oh, yeah. William Pitt, Earl of Chatham. Confidence is a plant of slow growth in an aged bosom. It doesn't sound. Where law ends, tyranny begins. I don't see any of these that I'm really. Okay, let's look up I used to think, I remember when I discovered this book, I thought it was a pathway to greater knowledge. Not understanding that kind of quotations are mostly based as a part of a larger context and process, not results. Okay, a commonplace book, though, or a way to compile knowledge by writing information into books. They've been kept from antiquity, particularly during the Renaissance. Similar to scrapbooks filled with items of many kind, proverbs, adages, maxims, quotes, letters. Entries are most often organized under subject headings and differ functionally from journals or diaries, which are chronological and introspective. Commonplaces are used by readers, writers, this again from Wikipedia, students, as an aid for remembering useful concepts or facts. So I guess that's a little bit about commonplace. Let's look at a couple more things Little Brown and Company. American publishing company founded in 1837 by Charles Coffin Little and James Brown in Boston for close to 2 centuries. It's published fiction and nonfiction, including Emily Dickinson's poetry, Bartlett's familiar quotations, and is now a division of the Hatchet Book Group. Let's see what we got. I don't know, I think that's pretty good. They've been around for a while. Mary Frances Butts was in 1890 to 1937, English modernist writer. Found in recognition in literary magazines such as The Bookman and The Little Review, as well as from fellow modernists T.S. Eliot, H.D., and Breyer. Fell into obscurity, but then began to be republished in the 1980s. Let's see. I'll read a little bit about her work here. Let's see. These are some of the writings. Magic Book 4. By Aleister Crowley. Ash of Rings, Armed with Imaginary Letters, Felicity Taverner, Several Occasions, Warning to Hikers, The Macedonian, Scenes from the Life of Cleopatra, My Crystal Cabinet. Most of her books were reprinted in the 80s and the 90s. Anyway, so that's a little bit. Oregon Boundary Dispute. 50-40 or fight redirects here. So that was one of the quotes that came up. The Oregon boundary dispute or Oregon question was a 19th century territorial dispute over the Pacific Northwest. So people arguing over somebody else's land. Russian Empire, Great Britain, Spain, and the U.S. After the War of 1812, The Oregon dispute took on increased importance between the British Empire, the American Republic, and the Russians had signed in the 1820s the Russo-American Treaty and the Russo-British Treaty. And the Spanish had signed on the Adams-Onis Treaty. And they're trying to figure out who could control the Pacific coast. It was still contested by the UK and the US. The disputed area was the region west of the Continental Divide, north of the 42nd parallel north, and the Russian parallel at 5440. British called it the Columbia District, and the Americans called it the Oregon Country. 1844, it was a part of the U.S. It came up during the presidential election. Oh, man, good old Manifest Destiny. Oh, boy. They want to make an offer on the 49th parallel. However, that faltered. Tensions grew. And everyone was urging James K. Polk to annex the entire Pacific Northwest all the way to the 5440. And these tensions gave rise to that slogan, 5440 or fight. And also the U.S. was annexing Texas. So yeah, a lot there, a lot going on with that Bartlett's quotations. But anytime I think about that, I think about, my Nana always came up. And so I was thinking my Nana and records that I have. Maybe, Nana, could we work out something where we go through these records and you give me Nana's book of familiar quotations? Oh, Nana doesn't want to be on mic. Oh, that's okay. So I'll do this. These are Nana's quotations you're not familiar with. And I'll try to get, this is a quote from Fabian. This friendly world. And, contextually, Nana normally says, this friendly world. I would guess she would say it in irony, but let's imagine a world from Nana's perspective instead of only imagining it from my perspective. Right, Nana, finally? As you're saying, so what if there was a world where I was more open-minded about Nana's perspective, right? And where Nana was coming from, trying to help me, right, help myself. So this friendly world, you would say, that's what you're trying to help provide me with your guidance, is this friendly world. Another quote by Fabian, that was the B-side, I assume, because the A-side is Hound Dog Man. And when you say that, you see, like a Hound Dog Man makes me think... You say, why are you acting like a hound dog, man? You're saying it in a friendly, helpful way, though, Nana, because I'm chasing my own tail around, I'm sniffing around and trying to find my own way instead of just getting help, right? And saying, okay, well, yeah, isn't there anything else I could do that would be good for everybody instead of just sniffing, like, why do all the work, right? Just ask for help. Don't be a hound dog, man. Ask for some help in this friendly world. Thanks, Nana. Another couple people Nana likes to quote is Gene Pitney. And one of them is Tower Tall. I've heard her say that before, quoting Gene Pitney, Tower Tall. And I'd say, okay, that means the task at hand is not going to be easy, right? We could be walking up the tower. It's going to be tall. We could be looking up at the tower, and it's a simple statement. It's a flexible one. Wow, tower's tall. Kind of like somebody told me recently, hey, there's only 4 prayers, really. HELP, thank you, wow, and another one, fudge. Those are the only 4 prayers. And I say, okay, I like that. This one sounds similar, though. Tower Tall. Could be, it could be wow. It could be Towers Tall. Help. What are the other ones? Tower tall. Thanks. That's beautiful. Or tower tall. You fudge. I got to go all the way up that tower. It's going to be, or over it. How am I going to do that? Another thing I hear Nana say from Gene Pitney all the time is half heaven, half heartache. And that's, again, another one flexible. She says it a lot about me when I'm at my best. She says, and then she usually refines it, well, with you, it's more like, 99.999999999 heartache, 0.0000000 heaven. And I'd say there's a little bit of heaven in all of us, Nana, but mostly in your smile. And then I said, did that give me the half heaven, half heartache? But that's something we can all relate to, right? Half heaven, it's a relatable quote, Gene Pitney. Another one I love to hear from Nana, but and I'd love to hear it in the way Nana means it. When she quotes the chiffons, one fine day. She loves to quote the chiffons, one fine day. And again, that can mean, it could be speaking about the present, one fine day, or, sometimes Nana would speak about it. She'd be just jesting, but about my bottom dollar. But I don't know, I wouldn't be betting my bottom dollar, but it'd say, and I actually don't know what that quote means, so sure, I probably shouldn't, but she'd say, one fine day, and I'd say, Nana, you don't practice, you're imaginary, so you can't practice corporal discipline with me. But one fine day, we might. And then another thing I can relate to, maybe a lot of you can relate to when Nana quotes the chiffons. Why am I so shy? Why am I so shy? And you could say it with a forlorn thing, but what, I've learned from Ted Lasso is, or maybe say, you could say it like that. Why am I so shy? Or you could say in a playful way, or you could say, hey, it's okay. Why am I so shy? Don't know. But I'm here by and by to give you everything you can need, But it is a quote that comes up for Nana. Another one that comes up, another person, this is Nana's generation. She likes to quote Bobby Darin. Bobbydarn, and she says, sorrow tomorrow. And when she says that, I say, Nana, I said, how about, okay, but, what, can't we look for, I thought it's one fine day, sorrow tomorrow. Is that like you're predicting the weather now? But maybe it's more of a wise thing. Again, if I can embrace Nana the way I embrace Ray. I'm sorry, Nana. It is a case of you spot it, you got it for me, because you're so relatable. But maybe you're saying, hey, save the sorrow for tomorrow. But I would say, for me, I'd say it's okay to be sad today, too. But maybe if you're, here's where I think you're coming from, Nana. If I'm focused on tomorrow, it'll always be sorrow. Even when I'm fantasizing about taking a vacation or being a different person that's living tomorrow like it's one fine day. It's, it's all about living in the moment, right, Nana? Thank you for that lesson. It took me a while from you and Bobby Darin. Another thing I probably take the wrong way is when you say, you must have been a beautiful baby, when you quote Bobby Darin. And I say, are you saying I'm beautiful now? Or I was a beautiful baby and I'm not beautiful anymore? But I think what you're really saying, Nana, which other people say is, hey, pay some compliments. And that's the easy way to pay a compliment. But I think it's probably confusing in the modern day parlance. So, and plus most people don't remember when they're a baby. So I'd say, just find a way to compliment somebody is what you're really saying, Nana. Oh, then there's your quote of them. Here comes the night. And again, I guess it's that's sometimes it's ready, hey, here comes the night. Let's do our bedtime routine, right, Nana? and to get ready for bed. And here comes the night. It'll be okay, right, Nana? That's what you're saying. Here comes the night. And all for myself. That's also another quote from them you like to quote, huh, Nana? All for myself. And that's when I think you're like really, you know, I don't know, like, I don't know what that one means. I'm trying to find the deeper meaning. I mean, I can imagine you, like, I guess this is my chance to grow because I say, well, if you were hugging me, you'd say, I'm going to keep you all for myself, but that would make me take off, Nana, and, you know, want to have my own distance. But maybe it's that. It's like, oh, I can't have it all for myself. I want it all for myself, but I can't have it all for myself, huh? So not easy, but true is you can't have it all for yourself even when you want to, right, Nana? So that's another good lesson from you. Thank you, Nana. You know, Nana, I wanted to take a second to compliment you on how, do you realize that your quotes are so brief, usually only a few words. I mean, brevity is the act of sincerity, or sincerity is the act of brevity, or something, because that's not my skill set. That it could be set on a 45 or a 33 record. But I remember when you quoted Johnny Horton to me, the mansion you stole. And I guess I took it a little bit in my interpretation of it, because I think you were describing it about my habits and cleaning up after myself and staying organized. But I took a much different meaning from it, Nana, that of heartbreak and but of depth to a person that like I guess because I said, well, if that was a song that you were quoting the title of instead of a pithy saying. First of all, I'd say, I don't think there's anything pithy about the mansion you stole, because you say, but I say, oh, like a person is a mansion, so many rooms, whatever Nana, what's a there's a word like balustrade or something, but I say, okay. That is a way to describe it, or the depth of someone's heart. And of course, that Johnny Horton song you like to quote from a movie, I don't know, but where you tell me to go sometime, north to Alaska, when you send me to my room, when you send me out the door, when you send me on my way, north to Alaska. I know what that means, also because your body language usually helps me. North to Alaska, that's where I'll go. Now, this one, you know, this is a famous, this is the most famous person. I mean, some might say, I don't know, did you quote Donovan earlier, or was it, you quoted a couple for people that could be considered one-name people. Unaname? This person, they have two names, but they probably, like Elvis Presley, you say, and I like how you don't do quotey quotes. You do, whatever those things are. Brackets? They're not brackets. Parentheses. You say, you're the figure with red spandex in disguise. And I say, there's no disguise in me, Nana. Those are red spandex that I'm wearing figuratively. My figure is figuratively wearing red spandex. Oh boy, is it! And I'm shaking my hips because those mean that I am the red wearing spandex person from beneath the earth or somewhere, you know, down there in disguise. And the other one, I guess I never took it as, I didn't realize it was figurative, but you quote Elvis, you say, please don't drag that string around. And I always thought that was, like you were just telling me, and I said, well, which then I would look behind me to see if it was a string hanging off my clothes, or a lot of times I assumed it was my way you were saying my shoelace. But I guess it's in some senses to gather up the string of the things I drag around, and maybe I should gather those up and not drag them around. Especially because normally I say, wow, Nana's really asking me in a way I'm unfamiliar with, saying please. But another quote of yours I love, Nana. Oh, thanks, Nana. Nana just asked a question. She said, oh, is this like Bartlett's familiar quotations? Are you doing, what system of order are you doing them in? Is it chronological? Is it by, I say, Nana, it's by the stack of records in my hand that I'm reading off of your famous quotes. And this is one of my favorites, except that I always talk about misquoting Nana. And even when I misquote you, I do sing this. All that glitters isn't gold, you say, from Lou Christie. But I always say all, I guess I do. I think, isn't that song, All That Glitters is Gold? But then you say that doesn't make any sense. And I'd say, well, I think I learned it from a commercial for cereal, or maybe it was for golden sugar cubes or whatever they're called, golden sugar puffs with the bear on there. Are they just sugar puffs? I think they're golden, and they glitter like gold. And I say, all that glitters is gold. And you say, no, all that glitters is not gold. And I'd say, isn't gold, right, Nana? And you'd say, correct. And I'd say, well, it still sounds like me, but that was old Lou, or not Luke. And then I say, is that from, then I say, do you know who said that? Now I'll say this, all that glitters is gold, Lon Chaney. And you say, are you doing this on purpose? Because it's Lou Christie. Two faces have I. Oh, boy. If I could say, I say, well, my face, Nana's face usually has, Nana, you have more than two faces, and I wouldn't call you two-faced because you're so straightforward and honest. But if you were trying to simplify it into a song that only had a quote, obviously, we're talking quotes here, I'd say you probably would say it, two faces have I. I think that'd be better. Was that a song in Phantom of the Opera? Because I think, does Phantom of the Opera have a song, Two Faces Have I? It sounds like somebody would be singing that in a musical anyway. And Nana, this one you will laugh before, we won't even have to get into this quote, but you'll have a laugh at what you would, so will all the listeners listening along at this one. When you quote Connie Francis, but you're saying it like you're quote, if my pillow could talk about something for sleep with me. That's so easy because we have that quote, if my pillow could talk, there'd be nothing to say, other than, no, I mean, I don't wash my pillow as often as I should. And, Nan, I knew you'd have a laugh at that. You're still laughing, too easy, she says, and, Connie Francis also, you quote Connie Francis saying, you're the only one who can disappoint me. And then I usually sing like another song that goes, do you really want to disappoint me? Do you really, want to make me cry? But then you say, and I say, really, I'm the only one that could disappoint? And I say, oh, because you're imaginary Nana living within me. That makes sense. And also that's a great lesson to tell me, like, just like we said earlier, I spotted, I got it, right, Nana? Because, I could do, only, that's my behavior, like, that's disappointing, and my expectations. So you're right, Nana. Another person, this was an obscure one, but I take it, sometimes you say this when you're frustrated. You quote Leslie Gore, and you say Danny, but you say it in a way, where you snap your fingers. So I always thought it was a way so you wouldn't, Because sometimes you say it after you say, it's my party. Is that the most famous? Is that the one, I cry if I want to? Or is that another one? Because I always wonder, is it Nana? Is Nana, is it my party? Another one, I've heard you quote before is old Gene Pitney, right? And that's when you pretend. Sometimes you say, because this was one of the funniest things. You say, I'm dehydrating you. Teardrop. You usually say teardrop by teardrop, but then I had to imagine what you were saying. You just say teardrop by teardrop. But then I said, wouldn't it make more sense if you said, little Andy, you're dehydrating your Nana, teardrop by teardrop? Or, hey, Nana, how did you get dehydrated? Well, because teardrop by teardrop, dealing with little Andy, I turned to dust, teardrop by teardrop. But you could, oh boy, Nana. But yeah, I'm sure there's other ways you could do. And then you said Mecca. The Gene Pitney thing, which I didn't understand, you could, I didn't know if that was something I didn't know if you were working on a screenplay or something, Nana, where you're trying to write hip dialogue because then you say, well, when they wrote that dialogue, I was thinking of Heathers and Tina Fey. I think Tina Fey said, well, they made up some of the stuff. So I don't know. And I said, well, I don't know if you should be using Mecca as I said, Nana, can't you just use it in, but you say, well, I'm quoting whatever Gene Pitney. This was one I never knew, it just made me laugh. Bob B. Socks, you quote and you'd say flippin' nitty. And I'd say, how do you spell Bobby Socks? And you say Bob, B-O-B, B-S-O-X. And I'd say, oh, wow, Nana, that's some wild stuff. Bobby Socks, eh? Flippin' nitty. I'd say those sound like characters from a Sleep With Me podcast. And then you say zip-a-dee-doo-dah. And I'd say, is that the song from but usually that's when you answer my question with a song and you say, Trouble in Paradise, When Will I Be Loved? And I'd say, are those two different songs? So Trouble in Paradise is, and I guess that's what it's like being around me, huh? You say Trouble in Paradise. And, but Josephine, this is what makes me giggle. Itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. And I think Josephine is another quote, right? You're just quoting various popular artists' vocals and orchestra, right? But itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. And then Tommy Rowe is another one, and I've heard you, oh boy, do you love to quote Tommy Rowe, save your kisses. And if I could quote Tommy Rowe, I'd say, in that other thing, teardrop by teardrop, I would quote The Weeknd and say, save your tears. And then you'd say, what are you going to say? Save your tears for a rainy day? And I'd say, for another day, Nana. But I mean, here's something. Maybe The Weeknd meant this. Maybe The Weeknd read Cat in the Hat as a boy, as a lad. Maybe Weeknd changed. Maybe it was Save Your Tears for a Rainy Day. And that was for the Cat in the Hat, like some Cat in the Hat related project. And it really, if anyone knew what was going on with the Cat in the Hat, there'd be a lot of tears, even though everything was fine. I mean, other than the fish, I guess the fish would sing it. The fish would say, save your tears for a rainy day. And then be a rainy day, good day to cry, you could say. But you save your kisses for Tommy Rowe. And I always say, well, what does that mean? Like you don't want, I mean, obviously, we won't be doing any kissing, even, I mean, I could kiss your forehead if you were under the weather, Nana. I mean, I'll be honest, our relationship preferred not to be a kissing-based relationship, even a pecking. That's just where I'm at. One day, Nana, the podcast listeners may hear 3 years from now, I'd say, Nana, go ahead and give me a kiss on the cheek. But right now, it's just where I am in my honest growth, as I say, Nana, I'm practicing trying to be somewhat kind to you occasionally. And I'd prefer you save your kisses. So thanks for helping me assert myself. And then you quote Tommy Rowe when you say Sheila, who, that's someone in my family. And I say, wow, Sheila. But then there was also the song, Oh, Sheila. But that's a different song than what we're talking about. Another quote I like, Nana, is when you quote Doris Troy. It's so rare, but you say just one look. And I said, what does she mean by that? Just one look. Like, are you just going to give me just one more look? Or are you, you see, just one look. And I say, okay, Nana, I'm just giving you one look of, I don't understand. But maybe you're saying it to yourself. And I'll never forget the day you said, you quoted Doris Troy, and you said, I got the Bossa Nova blues. And I said, Nana, I think that was my favorite piece of sci-fi fiction I read as a boy. And you said, no, I'm telling you how I'm feeling. And I say, are you sure? I said, I thought that was in a series of books that I read as a boy that I've been trying to get the bottom of, Bossa Nova blues. Don't you remember, Nana? There's 2 books that I'm searching for the titles of or copies of. And one of which is a book I read as a child. I checked it out of the library. Not a young child, though. Probably somewhere between first grade and 9th grade. Probably between first grade and 5th grade, though, Nana, really. And I could swear that if I was going to invent a title for the book 5 of that series, it'd be Bossa Nova Blues, because maybe they live on the Bossa Nova. I don't know what it would be. I mean, you could make it about Bossa Nova, which I think is a kind of music. I don't know, Nana. But I was thinking they live on Bossa Nova Station. Or maybe there's a Bossa Nova coming to the planet, so everybody's down. But that was a boy who was my age when I was reading it, who had an android duplicate of themselves, maybe, who was their best friend. But that's all I remember about the book. I mean, other than lying on my bedroom floor, reading it and listening to the radio. And so I say, Bossa Nova Blues. I guess I gave you a case of that. And then, of course, Nan, I'll talk about the other book. I mean, the other book comes up a lot, which is a book where, where the kid tries to, eventually tries to dig a hole through the center of the earth. And it kind of shows scientifically what kind of equipment would be needed as the boy escalates from just a shovel to actually trying to dig to the other side of the earth. But I guess that reminds me of those quotes where you roll your eyes and you quote Dodie Stevens, coming of age, or you shrug your shoulders to describe my behavior. And you say, I don't know, coming of age. And I guess I never know what that means. Another one, this is like an emotional thing you say, like some of the things, I don't know what the term is, but it was called Pink Shoelaces by Dodie Stevens. Another Dodie Stevens quote, Pink Shoelaces. Reminds me a bit of Ted Lasso saying barbecue sauce when you say pink shoelaces. But I don't know. And then you'd quote, I know you quoted the Monkees a few times. One of them you just said words, right? And, like, I guess that was when I was talking too much or I didn't understand something. He'd say words. And normally I would respond to that with word up. And you'd say, no, words. You wouldn't say it's just words. You just say words. And they'd say, oh, that must be the wisdom of the monkeys. Like that other monkeys quote you like to say, Pleasant Valley Sunday. And then you'd use the day of the week that's not Sunday. Pleasant Valley Sunday on Thursday. And I'd say, is that what time with me feels like, Nana? Pleasant Valley Sunday? And that was when you'd again quote Connie Francis, as you love to do so much. And you'd say, everybody's somebody's fool. But then you would move it around. You say, you're everybody's somebody's fool. Somebody, you're the somebody, and you're for every, and I'd say, thanks, Nana, I'm glad, and I say, well, it's good because I have a purpose now. So, but somehow that quote, that Connie Francis quote, led to the podcast, Nana. Do you believe that? Good old Connie Francis saying everybody's somebody's fool. And, the other thing is sometimes I can, let my feelings come up of jealousy, and I'm jealous of you, just like you would say with Connie Francis. You would usually, I guess I'm imagining you would say it when I didn't do some, I'm jealous of you. Don't do the dishes when they're supposed to be done. But I think the one thing, I love the most, Nana, is, when you quote Eddie Hodges or Edie Hodges and you say, I'm going to knock on your door. Because I, again, mistook that as some sort of passive-aggressive statement, but it was more like, I'm going to say hi to you. I'm going to knock on your door with kindness, with love. I'm going to reach out to you and quote, I'm going to knock on your door. And then that other Eddie Hodges or Edie Hodges quote you love. The last quote we'll share in this book of Nana's Unfamiliar Quotations ain't going to wash for a week. You would usually say that after, if an occasion I did kiss your forehead, I would hope you'd say that, Nana, or shook your hand or gave you a hug. More as not a statement of fact, but as a statement of disbelief, right? Like, I ain't going to wash for a week. I don't want your kiss. You actually hugged me. But every quote you have in Nana, when I take a second to actually listen, is like, I guess I shouldn't wash my ears out for a week. After hearing all this wisdom. So I'm glad to hear it, Nana. Thanks so much and good night. All right, I want to thank everybody that became a patron recently for the podcast. Nini, Bintu, and Alexis, thank you, thanks, and good night. Rianne, Michael, and Liberty, thank you, thanks, and good night. Matt, Elizabeth, and Colton, thank you, thanks, and good night. Michelle, David, and Jeff, thank you, thanks, and good night. Sharon Lee, Suzanne, and Jason, thank you, thanks, and good night. Kirsten, Mary, and Mark, thank you, thanks, and good night. Dana, Catherine, and Ayana, thank you, thanks, and good night. Ashken, Roast, and Karen, thank you, thanks, and good night. Ashley, Sharon, and Adam, thank you, thanks, and good night. Christelle, Mary, and Brogan, thank you, thanks, and good night. And Callum, Amy, and Aaliyah, thank you, thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody who supports the show directly or supports our sponsors. That's how we're here. Free Choice Week. Thanks, everybody. It spreads the word about the show, lets people know about the podcast. That keeps the show growing and helping other people, or just spread the word about podcasting in general. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for the support. And here's a couple of these Tuck You In sponsors that enabled us to grow all the free episodes in the archives. Thanks and good night.